Since Bhante Dhammajiva is not available, so we are conducting English Dhamma discussion on Thursdays. පූජනීය ලොකු සායනාසේ සේනාසනයේ වැඩ නොසිටින නිසා අපි බ්‍රහස්පතින්දා යොදාගෙන තියෙනවා ඉංග්‍රීසි ධර්ම සාකච්ඡා පවත්වන්න. So we are going to start the English Dhamma discussion. So we were discussing Sagatha Vagga of Sangyutta Nikaya, and there now we have reached Achara Sutta. So the procedure what we do here, what we follow here is that I will recite the Pali verses, then Venerable Dhammalankara will recite the Sinhala translation, Venerable Dhammosa will recite the English translation, and then we're going to have a Dhamma discussion. So Achara Sutta. The verse going like this: Achara Sangha, Achara Gana Sanguttang, Pisacha Gana Sevitang, Vanantang Mohanang Nama, Kathang Yatra Bhavisatiti. Achara Gana Sanguttang, Pisacha Gana Sevitang, Vannatang Mohanang Nama, Kathang Yatra Bhavisatiti.
Achara Sutriya Devi Apsara Samuhaya Visin Sugoshita U පිශාචයන් වැනි ඒ අප්සරස් සමූහයා විසින් සෙවුනා ලද මේ වනය මෝහන නමි. එයින් නික්ම යෑම කෙසේ වන්නේද?
Say Bhante, the English title for this sutta is Nymphs.
Nymphs, right.
Nymphs I read that nymphs are
angels.
Kind of female specifically.
Females, angels.
Yes, and they like to dance and sing, and they are very sensual. Nymphs. Resounding with a host of nymphs, haunted by a host of demons, this grove is to be called deluding. How does one escape from it?
So this is the kind of question he's asking. So he's actually a previous monk. So there's an interesting story behind this whole scenario. So it's available in the Attakatha, in the commentary. So there was one monk called Achara Sanguttang. No, the name of the Deva is the Achara Sanguttang. So he actually has ordained in the Buddha's dispensation in the Sasana, and he was meditating, and he was fairly striving in a way. And he got a kammatthana from the Buddha and spending a very frugal life, and basically he was meditating even without sleeping, and he was so afraid of being kind of pamada, heedless. He's quite afraid of being heedless, and every time he want to meditate day and night, even without having food. And then what happened was there were internal organs start deteriorating, and kind of fair amount of severe pains start arising, and ultimately he died. So as a result of this strenuous practice without taking care of the body, so ultimately he died. And another monk was walking and in another walking path, and he has noticed this venerable monk, and then he noticed this dead monk, and basically even though this monk was so strenuous, but anyway he is not an arahant. So as a result of that, since all the 10s are not completely abandoned, he was reborn in this Thavatinsa. Thavatinsa is the heavenly realm. Anyway, so he was very much like awakened to the Thavatinsa, like he was sleeping and then awaking. He didn't feel like I was dead and then I am reborn. He didn't get that kind of perception. Rather, what he felt was like I was kind of sleeping and now I am awake at a different place. Such kind of a different perception he had. So he was meditating, and that time there was a severe pain, and then he passed away, but he was born into this Thavasensa realm. But as he born to this Tavatinsa, there was a kind of golden pandal, and then there's a huge body, pretty large, and then there are about 1,000 nymphs surrounding him. And they were quite rejoiced, thinking, okay, he is the owner of this whole palace. So he, as a result of his whole kind of merit, this whole thing was created, and now they were waiting for him, and now he is there. And so these nymphs were waiting for his rising, and now he awake. And now they start playing the different musical instruments to please him, and they stood surrounding him. And but the interesting thing is this Deva, so this Achara Sangutta, doesn't know that he passed away from the previous life and now reborn in this life. He bit confused, and he has the perception of the monkhood. Still, he has the perception of monkhood, and now he is looking at the nymphs, and he feel little ashamed. Now he was actually wearing a pansukula chivara, a left robe, rag robe, but now he's looking at the nymphs, and they were all looking at him, and he was the center of focus, and he feel little embarrassed. So he just kept his head downcasted eyes as a typical monk. And then the other nymphs, so they understood, okay, something is going wrong. So he still couldn't understand what has happened. And they understood, okay, he seems to be a monk in his previous life. So that's why he is behaving like differently. Now they want to tell him, okay, Venerable Sir, so this is not really Venerable Sir, my Lord. So this is the Deva realm. So you should know, I mean, this is the Deva realm. You are not in the human realm anymore. You are in the Deva realm. And this is not the time to meditate. This is the time to enjoy sensual pleasures. So they are inviting and try to tempt him to enjoy sensual pleasures. And then still this heavenly being, Achara Sangutta, so still he is unable to convince himself, and he didn't understand what's really going on. And now the nymphs start playing. They took their musical instruments and they start playing. And then further, they took a large mirror and kept in front of him. And then he saw the image of him. And then he understood, okay, my goodness, I have passed away from my previous life and now reborn in this new place. But anyway, I didn't expect this kind of a rebirth. So he didn't want any kind of a rebirth. Rather, he expected some kind of a complete passing away, complete nibbana. But it's quite unfortunate I am being born to this heavenly realm. So he basically was disgusted about the situation, because he was so ardent in his practice and want to attain nibbana, but unfortunately he is reborn into this heavenly realm. I haven't maintained my monkhood expecting this kind of heavenly birth. So he was disgusted about it, and I was expecting the arahantship, and so he was little regretting about what has happened. And then basically what happened was, without entering the palace, heavenly palace, so he without breaking his precepts, he comes forward to the Buddha. He again come back to the Buddha, in front of the Buddha, and the nymphs are also following him. So everybody now come in front of the Buddha. Now he is saying this particular verse. So this is the kind of side story, the old story behind the verse. So now we can go to the verse. Verse is like Achra gana sanguttang, pisacha gana sevitang, vanantang mohanang nama katang yatra bhavisati. So I am feeling like completely surrounded by these nymphs, and they are appearing like pisacha, means the petha. So he is not interested about them. So basically, and so they are the ones actually associating this particular forest. So I feel therefore it is like a mythical, or how to say, something not to associate. What's the term given? Can you repeat the English translation?
Resounding with a host of names, haunted by a host of demons.
Yeah, haunted by demons. Haunted by demons, right. And then further?
This grove is to be called deluding.
Deluding, yeah, exactly. So the Maya. So then basically this whole setup is very much like deluding. It is not something to associate. So, so we'll go to the answer by the Buddha. Now there are monks who may be interested about appearing in the heavenly realm, and they think, okay, that's a place to reappear, reborn, and they probably even practice, they maintain proper sila, expecting the heavenly birth. But interestingly, this monk is completely disgusted about that reappearance. He actually want to attain Nibbana, to be an Arahant, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So he was reborn into this heavenly realm, and he was really ashamed what has happened. So he couldn't make it. So his wish, his determination was to become an Arahant, but unfortunately he has become a heavenly being. So he was quite disgusted. Now he quickly come back to the Buddha, and he is simply saying, Bhante, unfortunate situation, I am being surrounded by these demons, surrounded by these ghost-like people, and the forest that I am now have to associate is quite deluding. So how to escape? So this is the question. And then Buddha is answering now. Ujjuko nama somaggo, abhya nama sadisa, ratho akujano nama, Dhamma chakkehi සංයුතෝ yeah.
භගවතු ඒ මාර්ගය උජුක නම් වේ. දිශාව අභයා නම් වේ. ධර්ම චක්‍රයන්ගෙන් යුක්ත වූ ඒ රථය අකූජන නම් වේ.
The straight way, that path is called, and fearless is its destination. The chariot is called unwavering, fitted with wheels of wholesome states.
Fitted?
With wheels of wholesome states.
Mm-hmm. So so Buddha is taking it to a simile again, talking about a chariot. Ujjuko nama somaggo. So the magga, the path is quite straight. So it's a direct path. Abhya nama sa disa. So the direction you have to take is fearless, and it is a kind of a refuge. Ratho akuchano nama. The chariot is named as, what's the name given? Unwavering. So the chariot is unwavering. It's a fairly solid, fairly stable chariot. Dhamma chakkehi sammuto. And the wheels are the Dhamma. Correct? So the wheels are called the Dhamma wheels. So this is how the chariot being represented. And we'll see the depth of it later. So what is this straight path? What is the refuge, and what may be the chariot, and what is the wheels? Also we'll see. And so Buddha giving a kind of an explanation based on various similes. And then the next verse, Hiritassa apalambu, satassa parivaranang, dhammahang sarating brumhi, samma ditti pure javang.
හිරිඔප්තප් දෙක ඒ රතේ වැතිර ගන්නා පුවරුයි. සිහිය ඒ රතේ පිරිකරයි. වරහන් ඇතුලේ සැරසිල්ලයි. විදර්ශනා සම්‍යක් දෘෂ්ටිය පෙරටු කොට යන ලෝකෝත්තර මාර්ග ධර්මය එහි රියදුරායයි මම කියමි.
The sense of shame is its leaning board, mindfulness its upholstery. I call the Dhamma the charioteer, with right view running out in front.
Right view running in front. So there's a very beautiful similes here. We can properly map it. So there's a chariot, and there are Ujjuko Ujuko nama, so Maggo. So Magga is called the Ujuko, Abhaya, and then Abhaya Disa, Ujuko Magga, and then Rato Akujano, and then Dhamma Chakkehi Sanghuto. The wheels are Dhamma Chakka. And the next verse going like Hiritassa Apalambu. Ask me what is Sinhala? Hiritassa Apalambu.
හිරියොතප් දෙක ඒ රතේ බැතිර ගන්නා පුවරුයි.
Hiriotap Vatiragana Puri. What's the English translation also there?
The sense of shame is its leaning board.
Leaning board.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then Hiriotap, that's all. And then Satassa Parivaranang. Now that is Satassa means Sati, mindfulness. Makad Singling can up.
සිහිය ඒ රතේ පිරිකරයි සැරසිල්ලයි.
Sarasilla. And then Dhammahang Sarathing. So the charioteer. So charioteer is the
විදර්ශනා සම්මාදෘෂ්ටි.
No, that is different. Sarathim Brumi Samma Ditti Pure Javang. So that Samma Ditti is the Pure Javang. So that is the one going in front like horses. Samma Ditti Pure Javans. The kind of guidance kind of, isn't it? Maybe
රියදුරස.
රියදුරාට දෙන්නේ දීලා තියෙන්නේ මේ charioteer Dhamma. Dhamma is the charioteer. Guidance
So all
is,
together it mentioned like විදර්ශනා සම්මාදෘෂ්ටි පෙරට කොට යන ලෝකෝත්තර මාර්ග ධර්මයේ රියදුරායයි.
ඒකයි. සම්මාදෘෂ්ටිය පෙරට කොට යන. එතකොට පෙරට කොට යනවා සම්මාදිට්ඨිය. So that means the forefront is the sammaditthi and the charioteer is the Dhamma. And then we'll first clean up this whole thing. Yassa eta disang yanang ithya purisasava save etena yanena nibbanasseva santiketi. Next last one.
යම් ස්ත්‍රියකට හෝ පුරුෂයෙකුට හෝ මෙබඳු යානයක් වේ නම් හෙතෙමේ ඒකාන්තයෙන් මේ යානයෙන් නිවන සමීපෙහිම වේ.
One who has such a vehicle, whether a woman or a man, has by means of this vehicle drawn close to Nibbana.
So basically, so the Noble Eightfold Path is said the Ujjuko Magga. So basically a straight path. And even the Satipatthana, Ekayana Magga. The certain terms are there, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo. So the Satipatthana is named as the Ekayana Magga, kind of a direct path. Now Ujjuko Nama is the here term, the Ujjupatipanno. So that's how typically we represent the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Ujjupatipanno. So the Patipatti, the path that these monks have taken is quite straight. So it is leading towards the purification, leading towards Nibbana, nothing else, something like that. So they have taken the direct path, the straight path. Ujjuko Nama So Maggo. And then so basically the Noble Eightfold Path in that sense is called a direct path, a straight path. Abhyanama Sadisa. And it is leading towards the Nibbana. Nibbana is a refuge. So there are like Thanang, Lenang. So these are different terms referred to the Nibbana. So Nibbana is considered as a refuge. Nibbana is considered as a safe place, kind of khema, kind of an oasis. So that is where, say, one can be free from all the fetters, all the defilements, all the, sansaric suffering. So therefore the Nibbana is considered as a sort of refuge. Then Abhyanama Sadhisa. So therefore this is leading towards that a direction towards a Nibbana which is a refuge, which is free from any fear. Abhyanama Sadhisa. Rato Akujano. So this the chariot is Akujana. What is this? Akujana? Unwavering. So typically the chariots are, it's shaky and little not that comfortable because on all days maybe they are maybe shaky and uneven paths to travel. So therefore the chariots are not that comfortable. But this particular path is a comfortable path, unwavering path. Ratho Akujano. So the chariot is therefore named as some kind of a unwavering path. Dhamma Chakkehi Sangyuto. Dhamma Chakkehi Sangyuto. So basically, so it has the wheels of the Dhamma. And then the next verse talking about the Hiriyottappa. Hiriyan Ottappa Tasa Apalambu. Harneda. Kind of a leaning board, so that the people might not fall down. So Hiriyottappa is giving that kind of a protection. So as one is traveling, so if we refer a kind of a chariot, now we have several things. So already we talked about the path. Path is straight, in the straight path that this chariot has to travel, and the direction it is leading is quite fearless. Abhaya, the direction it is leading is fearless, and the name of the chariot is called Akujana. That's unwavering. So that is the name of the chariot. And then there are wheels. They are actually turning wheels are the Dhamma. And then Hiriyottappa, the shame and fear, moral shame and moral fear. So they are the leaning boards. So then they can, whoever the travelers can be well protected, because there is proper leaning boards available, protective boards are available. So those are the Hiriyottappa, shame and the fear. Moral shame and moral fear are the Hiriyottappa, and they are the kind of guarding, protecting boards, like. And then Tassa Apalambu. Then Sakassa Parivaranam. Satassa Parivaranam. So Sati, mindfulness, is the hood, something upholstery. Upholstery means, I think, the where they are being protected, like, isn't it? Upholstery? Sarasilla. I think it's like the hood or the roof. So that is where, so they are not being getting wet or getting into any other trouble. So it's being properly covered by the mindfulness. Satassa Parivaranam. Parivaranam means that you are being kind of covered. Kind of a cover is the mindfulness. And what next? Dhammang Samadhitti Purejavang. So mindfulness, the Samadhitti, the right view, is actually running in front. Purejavang. So it's the one leading this whole chariot. If you consider it's a horse chariot, there may be several horses. There may be one horse who is leading the horses. So that is the Samadhitti. The leading horse is the Samadhitti. Dhammahan Sarating Brumi Samadhitti Purejavang. And the charioteer is called the Dhamma. Charioteer Dhamma ahang Sarating Brumi. So Dhamma, so he is keeping the Dhamma as the forerunner, or rather say at the front. Dhamma is taking as the front, the guiding principles. So basically, so there are many similes here. So now we can imagine about a charioteer, and it is going in a straight path. Straight path is going, and the direction, there's a particular direction it is leading, and it has wheels, it has protective pads or the boards, and then it has the upholstery to cover. And there's a charioteer also. So this is the kind of a imagination we can get about the charioteer. So this chariot. And now if we get the similes, so the direction is quite abhaya. So it is a kind of a fearless direction. And the magga, the path they are traveling is quite straight, very direct. And the name of the chariot is called Akujana, unwavering. And it has no any discomfort. It is quite comfortable. And the wheels are the Dhamma Chakka. Dhamma are the wheels, and the protective leaning boards are the Hiri and Ottappa, moral shame and moral dread, and upholstering the covering is the mindfulness. Name of the chariot is the Dhamma, and the leading horse is the Samaditi. So this is how we have to get the analogy. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, the interesting thing is to understand why Buddha is giving this kind of an analogy, this kind of a simile. So why, say for example, he is telling mindfulness like an upholstering? Why he is telling like that? So is the mindfulness has such a quality to be a kind of a protector, to be a kind of protective shield-like thing, isn't it? So is mindfulness is capable of doing something like that? So if we start talking about that part, now there is an interesting sutta called Arya Vasa Sutta. In the Arya Vasa Sutta, so Buddha emphasized mindfulness as a arakka, mindfulness as a kind of a protector. Sata rakhena cetasa viharami. Now Buddha mentioned, so all the noble people maintain mindfulness as a kind of a protector. So if they have mindfulness, they can do whatever they properly, because they are quite vigilant, they are quite on the present moment, they are quite awake. The presence of mind is there. So the mindfulness is taken as some kind of a protector in that sense. And there may be again, as we develop mindfulness, it is keep on monitoring us. So in case there is a unwholesome thought, that being prompted. If there is a kind of any other mishap, then it will be prompted, it will be indicated. So mindfulness appear like a kind of monitoring process. Every time kind of guarding us, every time sort of pointing us, okay, this is a fault, this is correct, this is wrong, something like that. Now actually, if we consider Mahachattalisaka Sutta, so there Buddha mentioned as we continue this Noble Eightfold Path, particularly in the supramundane level, Sammaditthi, Sammavayama, Sammasati appear like a three essential components. They are working together. Sammaditthi, Sammavayama and Sammasati. So 3 pillars, exactly. Like 3 pillars. It's kind of essential. On top of that, surrounded by that, the other path factors are working like in harmony. So the Sammaditthi, for example, it will give us a kind of a understanding, okay, this is correct, this is wrong. This is the path, this is the wrong path. So this is a wrong word, this is a correct word. This is a wrong thought or unwholesome thought, this is a wholesome thought. So likewise, there's a proper correct distinction. So that understanding comes from the Sammaditthi. But Sammaditthi alone can't do it. Even though the Sammaditthi is there, the presence of mind is necessary. The mindfulness is necessary. So the Sammasati does that part. So it is always present, okay, it is vigilant and watching us, observing us, and indicating, oh, this is the correct thing. So the presence of mind. And then effort has to be made to abandon the wrong thing and to cultivate the correct thing. Something like that. So Samma Vayama, Samma Sati and Samma Ditti are like very essential, helping each other, kind of intrinsically connected 3 factors, helping towards in the path. And that is something that we can comment. And the path itself is a straight path. It is leading towards a Nibbana without any other, the wrong things. But the person who is traveling might go wrong because of his misunderstanding. But the path is a direct path. Yeah, you want to tell something?
Since I can remember something like that. If we have correct mindfulness, then moral shame and next comes moral shame and moral fear. Then after that something comes and there's a flow like that.
Yeah. That is the sutta called what's that? Sati Sampajanya Sutta. The Sati Sampajanya Sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya. So Buddha gives this kind of a flow. So if you have the foundation of mindfulness and clear comprehension, Sati and Sampajanya, not mindfulness alone. Mindfulness has to be coupled with a clear comprehension. So when mindfulness is coupled with the clear comprehension, that appear like the foundation for Hiri and Ottappa. sati sampajanyang sati sampajanya sampannassa hirottappang hoti, something like that is there in a very beautiful sutta. So when mindfulness and clear comprehension is available, when that is present, it becomes the foundation for hiri and ottappa to be available. So that's why now, say for example, a person who's shameless, he kill animal, he steal and all this and that, he is a shameless person. But assume now he start practicing mindfulness. He start basically be aware of what's really going on. He start developing mindfulness, and then he later combine the clear comprehension. So as that is fairly established, so he can't do these old wrong activities. So his mind, his conscience start kind of complaining him. So don't do it. I mean, it's not a suitable thing. It's not an appropriate thing. It's not now. It may be harming your reputation. It may be harming your precepts. So why are you doing it? So something like that. There's a kind of an inner call, inner conscience start being powerful now. And rather than he simply ignorantly, shamelessly doing some wrong things, but now he become unable to do those wrong things. Something like that. Now that's why that quality being drawn as we are continuing. So that's why probably you can remember that in the Sutta Brahmana Sutta, so Buddha mentioned the Arahant has become someone who can't kill purposely. Intentionally he is now unable to kill. Intentionally he is unable to steal. Intentionally he is unable to make any kind of sexual intercourse. Intentionally he can't lie now. So likewise the precepts are unable to be broken now, unable to breach or transgress. So that person has become unable to break the precepts, something like that. Because in one sense, the level that we are talking here, the mindfulness and clear comprehension appear like a kind of a strong foundation. So the hiri and ottappa is well established now on top of that. So the hiri ottappa will then lead to the what we call the Trivida Sucharita. Kaya Sucharita, Vak Sucharita, Mano Sucharita. Now he is doing only the wholesome activities, proper activities by the body, by the speech, by the mind, something like that. So he is now turning towards the morality in a way, properly turning towards the morality. He started from the mindfulness, then coupled the clear comprehension. Later the morality is coming in this sutta. But typically we talk about first establish the morality, then develop mindfulness, then develop samadhi, then develop wisdom. But there's another path also available where one starts with mindfulness, then couple the clear comprehension, then naturally the hiriyottappa, the moral aspects are being developed. That's a very interesting sutta. Yeah, sorry? Internal guidance, yeah. He is now having a kind of a guiding teacher, something that always guiding him, correcting him, something like that. Yeah. Anything to contribute also there?
So I'm not saying if all this happened within the lifetime of Gautama, the Buddha, that means this Deva, he still has...
Maybe he's still there.
Yeah, maybe it happened just yesterday for him.
Exactly.
So despite all the effort that he put into his practice, he was only able to achieve a higher realm and not arahantship.
No, it depends. That's the thing. Now, that's why now, say for example, now this venerable monk, he being a monk for maybe several years, and he get the Kammatthana from the Buddha, and he's striving, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. Now what happened to Bahya? Bahya Daruchiri, what happened to him?
The old man, Bahya, I believe he died before he ordained.
Yeah, before ordained he died, but he died as an arahant.
Arahant, yeah.
Now that's the capacity in a way. So we can't generalize this, what has happened to this monk. So you can't simply say, okay, every monk, even though they practice, they are unable to attain Nibbana and they will be reborn to heavenly realm. That is not. So, I mean, there are instances who are not really monks, but they are following another path. Now they come to the Buddha and ask various questions, and Buddha give the instructions, and they immediately even attain arahantship, like Venerable Daruchiri. So Venerable Daruchiri is actually an extreme case, where Buddha keep him as the foremost disciple in the quick understanding, quick enlightenment. So likewise, it depends on the person's caliber, person's capacity. So we can't generalize the scenario, rather it depends. Now say for example, Venerable Rahula, he ordained at the age of 7, but he became fully enlightened at the age of 21 or 22. It took fair amount of time. Say Venerable Sariputta. So only 2 sentences were necessary for him to become a Sotapanna. 4 sentences were necessary for Venerable Moggallana. And then within 15 days, I think Venerable Moggallana attained Arahantship. Or 7 days he attained Arahantship. Venerable Sariputta took further few days to attain Arahantship. So likewise, it all depends on our parami, our caliber, our potential, exposure maybe. So various areas are there which are contributing towards our understanding. So therefore we can't generalize this thing telling, okay, even though you practice, ultimately you can't make it, you will be reborn, only that's the maximum you can make it. So you can't generalize like that. And again, nowadays there's a wrong perception being kind of popularized. Okay, you have to do merit, you have to accumulate merit, then you will be reborn in a heavenly realm and you will get a good opportunity to practice Dhamma. Now the complete opposite is explained in this sutta. So this venerable monk was born into Tavasinsa, and he found the 1,000 nymphs are there to tempt him. You see, I mean, they are there to tempt him, to arouse him sensually, isn't it? So ultimately he will be trapped. So his sensual desires will be further improved, increased, and further he will be tangled in the samsara. So he found it as a really a dangerous situation. And the Mohana Nama, the forest, the forest is quite deluding. It's promoting the sensual desires. So that's why he quickly want to escape and quickly come back to the Buddha and ask him, Bhante, I am in a danger. Please help me. So how can I escape from this pisachas, from these petas? Yeah, he is a real monk. It's a real monk actually. Even though he reborn as a heavenly being, he is well attuned his mind towards the Nibbana. Even though he couldn't make it because of his understanding or because of his imbalance of the faculties, definitely you can understand he has a kind of a excess effort. He didn't sleep and he didn't eat, so that's excess effort. So definitely he can't make it. Very similar to Venerable Sona. Venerable Sona, his walking path very much like bleeding because of too much walking. And he is strenuously practicing but couldn't make it. Then Buddha came in front and Buddha helped, telling, okay, Sona, how are you going to tune a lute? Very interesting, I mean. So therefore, the effort is a must, but balancing effort is also very, very important. Otherwise, mere effort does not going to make it. So therefore, I mean, there are several faculties that we need to balance. So here also we can understand that imbalance of the faculties. So exerting too much effort, ultimately he couldn't make it. But anyway, he was born into the heavenly realm. Now he is coming back and asking various questions. And now Buddha is preaching, okay, this is the way you need to handle it. I mean, Buddha is giving a kind of a clear picture, kind of a big picture about the whole thing. Not simply emphasizing about the effort. He say, okay, monk, you have to understand, okay, the chariot has to be a stable chariot. In one sense, we can say your mental balance and the physical balance has to be there. Physically also you have to maintain a kind of a balance. Mentally also you have to maintain a balance. Then you are in a smooth chariot. Otherwise it's shaky. Otherwise wavering, isn't it? So assume that you are not taking care of your body, you are not having a bath, you are not eating proper food, and you are not taking care of about the diseases, then you can't travel long distance, because the chariot will fall apart. Right? So you have to have some kind of a concern about the body as well. On the other hand, if you don't have the mental balance, then you go to too much effort and you feel restless. All that can happen. Or if you are not making any effort, then you feel lethargic, you start falling asleep, you feel drowsy. That is there. So therefore, balancing internally, bodily and mentally, in one sense, I feel indicating about this about the chariot It's an unwavering chariot, very comfortable chariot, smooth chariot in that sense. And again, keeping the wheels of the Dhamma. So the Dhamma is rotating. Dhamma is always, being with us. And the forerunner is the Sammaditthi. That's, of course, and many other suttas Buddha highlighted. Sammaditthi Purejavang. Sammaditthi is the forerunner. And then keeping mindfulness as the protecting sheath, like, okay, you are being covered by mindfulness. So the presence of mind. Every time you have to have the mindfulness. So therefore, the mindfulness appear like a kind of a protective sheath, upholstering. And then what else? And not to be fallen, there's a guiding or protecting, leaning boards. So that is Hiriya Nottappa. Hiriya Nottappa are the leaning boards. Charioteer himself is the Dhamma. The name charioteer is also given as Dhamma. What else? That's all, no? Hiriya Nottappa Sati. Charioteer Dhamma, Samadhitti guidance, unwavering wall, upholstery, the Sati, mindfulness. Yeah. So therefore, if we consider this whole thing, there's a charioteer, well protected. There's a chariot which is well protected, driven by a good charioteer, and there are protective shields, and it is quite smooth, unwavering, and going in a very straight path, and it is leading to a refuge. Very interesting, and how Buddha, with various metaphors, how he is indicating the path. Yeah, anything? Quite deep, we have to explore, and then only we will understand.
So I am enthusiastic to know after these 3 verses he enlightened all the...
We'll see. Then according to the commentary, it is like this. So Buddha explained the Dhamma, and then he explained about the 4 noble truths, and then the Devaputta attained Sotapanna. He became a Sotapanna. So then he is protected. Then he can return back. So he is not destined to the hell realm again. So he is destined to the full enlightenment within a short time. So therefore, I mean, in one sense, we can understand the balancing of our faculties, and anyway, the effort is not wasted, and still the proper attitude. So the sila or the practice is not for the attainment of a heavenly birth. That's a mundane kind of a destination, or mundane kind of a determination. If now, say for example, Buddha mentioned, if one is talking about practicing sila, aiming to be reborn in a heavenly realm, so Buddha didn't encourage it. Buddha didn't really appreciate it. Now there is a Satta Methuna Sutta. So there is a person, so Napi Passati Gahapating va Gahapati Puttang va Panchahi Kamagunehi Samappitang Samangi Bhutang Paricariyamanang Apichako Anyataran Devanikayam Panidhaya Brahmacharyan Charati Iminahan Silena va Vatena va Tapena va Brahmacharyena va Devo va Bhavissami Devanyataro Vati So Kadassa Deti Tannikameti Tenacha Vitting Apajati Idampiko Brahmana Brahmacharyassa Khandampi Chiddampi Sabalampi Kamma Sampi Ayang Uchati Brahmana Aparisuddham Brahmacharyan Charati Sangyutto Methu Nena Sangyogena Na Parimuchati Jatiya Jaraya Maranena Sokehi Paridevehi Dukkehi Domanassehi Upayasehi Na Parimuchati Dukkasmati Vadami. So I read the single translation. Paskam Gunen Samarpitavu Samanwagatavu Paricharanaya Karun Labannavu Gahaviyeku ho Gahaviputaku ho Nodakneya Nolabanneya Valit Mama Meshileng ho Vrateng ho Taustaming ho Bambasaring Prakata Deviyekimi ho Aprakata Deviyekimi ho Vemi Anyatara Devanikayak Pata Brahmacharya Purai He Ea Aswada Visin Vindi Ea Patai Eimma Sahimata Pamini බ්‍රාහ්මණය මෙයද බ්‍රහ්මචර්යාගේ ඛණ්ඩද චිද්‍රද ශබලද කාල්මාශද වෙයි. බ්‍රාහ්මණය මෙතෙම අපරිශුද්ධ බ්‍රහ්මචර්ය පුරන්නේ යයිද? මෛතුන සංයෝගයෙන් සංයුක්තයයිද? ජාතියෙන් ජරා මරණයෙන් ශෝකයෙන් පරිදේවයෙන් දුකින් දොම්නසින් දැඩි ආයාසයෙන් නොමිදේයයිද කියනු ලැබේ. වර්ත දුක්ඛයෙන් නොමිදේයයි කියමි. So Buddha mentioned in this Satta Metuna Sutta, there may be a monk or maybe even a layman who is maintaining proper sila, maintaining a good conduct and maintaining a monk's life, expecting to be reborn in a heavenly realm. And that is what he is aiming, that is what he is wishing, and he is quite satisfied with it. And his sila, his brahmacharya, his practice, Buddha say, is a impure type of brahmacharya, impure type of sila. And aparisuddha brahmacharya, it's a impure brahmacharya, and it is little say mixed with metuna, sensual intercourse, sensuality. And he is not freed from the rebirth, he is not freed from the jara marana, the decay and death and sorrow, lamentation, despair. He is not free from this sansaric journey. So basically, I mean, there are instances that people are so concerned about being in a heavenly realm, but Buddha didn't encourage it in a way, isn't it? So accidentally it can happen, that's a different thing, because you are unable to completely uproot the defilements. But Buddha as the teacher, supreme teacher, he always encouraged the maximum. He always encouraged the arahantship, and not something little, not something trivial. So therefore, so that is where we have to understand. So Buddha as the teacher, he didn't encourage any time about the sansaric, rebirth at any particular place. Rather, he encouraged us to be free totally, isn't it? So this monk is well attuned in that. So he was so concerned in that. So that's why he was so eager to attain Nibbana. But unfortunately, he couldn't balance the faculties. He was dead. And then, unfortunately, he was become a heavenly person. But he still quite aiming at Nibbana. So that's why he came immediately back to the Buddha. Bhante, please help me. I am being born to this heavenly realm. I am being covered by these petas. And this forest is quite deluding. So how to escape? So that's the question he is asking. Very, very interesting.
Swaminathan, when the Buddha says that this chariot is called unwavering or unrattling, there appears in my mind an image of having one's heart always steadied in the Dhamma.
Balance.
Yeah, whatever mind states arise, they don't lean this way or that way.
Exactly.
They don't waver like a flag.
Exactly.
And
that's why, I mean, everywhere we can get that, connected. Now, when the faculties are well balanced, so okay, your well-being is well established. So mental well-being, physical well-being, as a complete equipoise is there. So when the faculties are balanced. On the other hand, when the physical and mental balance is there, again the balance is there. We sometimes discuss. At one occasion, Venerable Mahakappina, he was just meditating like a statue. And Buddha say, you see, to the other monks, he is showing, you see, have you ever seen any kind of a physical wavering in him? Have you ever noticed any kind of a disturbance, any kind of agitation, even a physical agitation in him? Then other monks say, no. Either he practiced privately, either he practiced publicly. He is like a statue. His faculties are quite serene. His mental balance and the physical balance is there. This chariot is a smooth chariot, kind of a well-established, quite stable, well-balanced chariot. I mean, we may do mistakes, but the target has to be that. How to physically balance, how to mentally balance. So then we may be having that proper balance, isn't it?
Yeah, and observing a monk who is balanced both internally and bodily, it can be very inspiring, no?
Inspiring, definitely.
Just like Venerable Sariputta saw Asaji, and the way he was conducting himself, walking, looking back, looking forward, he was composed, And this aroused a lot of inspiration in him.
Definitely. Definitely. That's why, looking at such arahants are a kind of an inspiration. Even just looking at a monk like that, as he said, it's an inspiration. That's why sometimes it is mentioned by the Buddha, මොකක්ද ඒකට කියනවා මේ මොන දස්සනද? Something beautiful to see, something inspiring to see. That's the utmost thing to see for inspiration, something like that. There's a beautiful term there, I can't remember that. So anyway, so quite deep in a way, and Buddha's representation, the explanation is quite interesting, quite aesthetic, beautiful. And Kumara, you have any questions from your side?
Asra Swamin Wahanse.
Yes.
Yes, it's me. Bante, much merit. It was simply, like it was very simple explanation, but gone to mind like very deeply.
Exactly.
Yes, Bante. Much merits for that.
Yeah.
Bante, Vimal is here for.
Yes, Vimal.
I believe.
So you can talk about the sutta, nothing else.
Amen, Shanansi. Avasarai. Yeah, actually, the two kind of things, the reborn, sort of a story is there. So I thought of sharing. We are also experience kind of dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of something, a dreaming kind of thing, thought movement to thought movement, kind of reborn.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, practical to apply in the, the personal perspective? The other thing is talked about the sati, samadhi, and virya as a three pillar. I don't know, that is what I heard. Again, we call about 5 faculties. When come to 5 faculties, Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, faith, energy, mindfulness, and concentration and Panya kind of thing.
Yeah.
In that 5 faculties, concentrated onto 3 pillars. Does the Samadhi fold the Saddha's concentration, Panya into Samadhi sort of thing? That is the theoretical part, and the first one is the practical and personal experience. If you could, explain much merit.
Yeah, actually in the 5 faculties, as you said, Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. So Buddha mentioned, the Saddha has to be balanced with Panya. The faith has to be balanced with wisdom. And again, the effort, the Virya has to be balanced with Samadhi, the concentration. So in the middle, we have the mindfulness. So the mindfulness is the one which has to be always present and kind of guarding us, indicating us, so which part is high, which part is low. A kind of a balance is there. In the bala level also the same thing. Saddha bala, Virya bala, Sati bala, Samadhi bala, Panya bala. So the spiritual powers also has to be balanced. And then once it comes to the 7 enlightenment factors, they are also kind of a balance mentioned. Say Dhamma Vichaya Virya Piti. So they are the active component of the mind. So they activate the mind. On the other hand, Passadi Samadhi Upekha, tranquility, concentration and equanimity, they kind of cool the mind, calms down the mind, tranquilizing the mind. Mindfulness has to be always present to recognize which part is high, which part is low. And to answer your question, now you can refer Maha Chattalisika Sutta, and they are in the supramundane path. Buddha mentioned every time, now say for example, you are talking about Micha Vacha and Samma Vacha. Say Micha Vacha is wrong speech, false speech, maybe lying, maybe gossiping, divisive speech, harsh speech. So these are the wrong type of speech. And on the other hand, the correct speech is there. There you are completely avoiding the lies, only talking about the truth, and then avoiding any kind of divisive speech. Instead, you are trying to maintain kind of a concord, a unity among people. And instead of using the harsh words, you are using some smooth, proper words. And then Other thing is what? Instead of talking nonsense, say you are talking only the useful words, right? So this is an understanding. So this is a guiding principles. But when there is an occasion happen, say whenever you have to speak out within a crowd, so you have to have this understanding in background. Okay, what is correct, what is wrong. So that understanding is there. That comes as the samadhi. But the presence of mind has to be there. So that is why the sammasati. The presence of mind should be there. And you have to make an effort only to talk the correct thing, only to use the correct words, and have a proper intention to maintain a unity and all that, and to avoid any kind of false speech. So that is the effort part. So therefore, even when we are talking, so these three guiding principles, these three pillars are very much like operating. Samadhi in one sense telling us, okay, what is correct, what is wrong. Sammasati gives us the presence of mind, you are awake, and effort is there to avoid the wrong thing and to encourage the correct thing, something like that. So that's how the three pillars are very much like helpful to other various path factors. It may be helpful to the samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva, etc. So that the Noble Eightfold Path is very much like intertwined, quite well interconnected. It's working as a bundle now, well connected each other, helpful to each other. So
the first question is, short of the sutta, I'm connected to the reborning. The thought moment, we are short of reborning, short of things. That is what, my personal experience.
That's also true. And more properly, Vimal, I think we can say about the becoming process. This becoming bhavasrava, or we can say the kamatanha bhavatanha. From our bhavatanha, what we do is we lose the present moment and we create a mental artificial state. And we are living in that artificial state, mind-made state, a become state. We lose the present moment. We like to live in a dream. We like to think different in the sense, not in the present moment, but take it to a completely shifted, completely imagined state. And we like to have such kind of a virtual state rather than in the realistic, more grounded level. So mind is always deluded by that bhavatanha, always looking forward and thinking ahead, planning, daydreaming, fantasizing, fabrication, proliferation, obsession, all these things are there, always losing the present moment. The simplicity of the present moment is lost. You are not grounded. You are not realistic, but the mind has shifted. So this is a kind of an addiction we have. So how to be grounded properly? How to be well simplified in a way? Our presence, our appearance, everything very much like very simple and always grounded. And mind is not shifted. So mind has maintained its clarity, its presence, and not in a dream, not in a fantasy, but in the present moment. Maybe even, if possible, a silent mind, a completely silent present mind, which is free from the bhavatanha. So if bhavatanha is there, every time there's an inclination towards a future event, future moment. So you are not satisfied. You have some kind of a restlessness. You have some kind of a frustration. And present moment you are unhappy. Isn't it? You are not feeling happy because something is there to do. Something is there to fulfill. I am not feeling happy. I am not feeling contented. Instead, I have something to complete. I have something to fulfill. Say, I have to buy a car. I have to buy a house. I have to get married. I have to have children. I have to get a promotion. I have to be reborn as a heavenly being. How many plans are there? Completely unsatisfied in the present moment. We lost the present moment, expecting something in the future. The bhavatanha, in a way, always governed by this becoming process. That in the Patisamuppada, say upadana paccaya bhav. So the clinging leads to the becoming. This kind of a grasping, clinging, leads towards the becoming. So you are born to a new world. As you said correctly, So this kind of a state help us to reborn to a new state of mind. You lose the present state and you are reborn to a new state mentally. Your body may be residing on a chair, but mind may be in a heavenly realm. Your body may be here, but you are regretting about the past event in a hell realm. In a way, you can see like that also, isn't it?
Yeah, much merit, Bhante. Actually, the Marana, also I remember the word, how we explain the Marana Lakkana is Chuti Lakkana Marana. The Chuti means that the present, the present state gives up and jump into new state, like Chuti, sort of thing. That is what, I also remember. Much merit for your explanation, Bhante.
Yeah.
Asrai Bhante, there's another person, Bhante.
Yeah.
Bandula, you can run.
Asrai Bhante, this is a quick question.
Yeah.
Bhante, you mentioned the practice, actually this is more related to the practice, to balance energy and concentration, the 5 faculties. So please Bhante a little bit explain, so how do you keep balance of, for example, say if your mind is coming to a bit of a samadhi, so would it be okay to go ahead with the samadhi, or would you not proceeding and come back to your breath?
Yeah.
But I have experienced that, Bhante. So when you're doing the practice, you're sitting, so that you come to your the breath, it comes like a nimitta, so you can see it is not actually the breath, but it is an image of a breath. So if you proceed further, sometimes I fall to sleep. I understood that I don't have enough energy. So I was a little bit confused, and there, is it, or I'm maybe leading to samatha side or not? So I appreciate if you can explain a little bit, Bhante. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we consider the effort and the concentration, now one thing is, now if we are keep on repeating the labeling, the naming, the noting, it's a kind of a more effortful practice. Say, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. So this is a kind of an effortful practice. Later, you may understand, okay, now it is not necessary. I better reduce the effort. I better stop this labeling. Now you are maintaining just a very relaxed mind, a quiet mind, and you are simply recognizing in breath and out breath. So in a way, you balance the effort. In a way, you reduce the effort and you promote the concentration, a kind of relaxation. And then again, assume that you fall asleep. That means effort is too less. You have to have a little more effort to maintain the wakefulness. Probably you may little arouse the energy, maybe you little improve some kind of a investigation, introduce some investigation to the picture. So likewise, you can little improve the effort so that you are not falling asleep. So likewise, dynamically, during your practice session, you have to do this proper balancing. So if we are doing that proper balancing, then slowly the samadhi, the concentration develops. And when it comes to your question, so as we develop samadhi, the nimitta comes. Yes, samadhi nimitta, the anapanasati nimitta, the sign may appear. Assume that it is a light. But at first, it is not stable. So it comes and goes. And it is not stable, it's not bright. So you can't make use of it. So better continue with the breath. So the breath become more and more subtler and subtler, but the nimitta become more brighter and brighter, stable and stable. And later, you have to let go of breathing in the sense that there's paying attention to the breathing. Instead, you have to pay attention to the sign. That shift, when to do it, when not to do it, is something you have to practically decide. So if you are doing it too early, then the nimitta will disappear and you can't properly attain. So you are lost. If you are not doing it correct at proper time, then that is also your mind can become restless. So basically, you have to have this proper balance. Particularly, say for very much like your breathing and the nimitta are very much aligned, so that naturally you are looking at the breathing, understanding the breathing, and you are all also looking at this particular nimitta, so your attention to nimitta become more and more emphasized, attention to breathing become reduced. Ultimately, you are with the nimitta. Now the breathing has abandoned. You are totally with the nimitta. You are simply looking at the nimitta in a more peaceful, serene way, and there may be a possibility you get absorbed it. And one can say you attain arpana, you attain jhana. Now, but when we are talking about the vipassana, there are also something similar is there. Now, say you are recognizing certain feeling. So, if you are putting too much effort, then it may be strenuous. I mean, it's very difficult. You feel very dry. There is no any happiness, any joy in your practice. The feelings are also very painful, and your practice become very dull, very dry. But on the other hand, if you are maintaining little effort and allowing some samadhi, little bit of joy, little bit of happiness, then even painful feelings, even pleasurable feelings, you can properly maintain, properly balance, or properly observe without breaking the mental balance. Different feelings are there, but you can joyfully look at them. You can properly look at them, patiently look at them without losing the balance. So likewise, during our practice, balancing these efforts are kind of different faculties are very, very important. And immediately we can't have this understanding. We are trying and we lose someday. We do mistakes someday, and once a while we become quite successful. On that day we feel quite happy. It's a trial and error process. Even though I am telling you, it's very difficult to understand. You have to go through it, and one day you fail, another day you succeed. So likewise, through your own practice, you will understand the correct balance.
Thank you, Bhante. This one little thing. So what I noticed, Bhante, when I'm doing it, so when the breath disappear, I feel like something floating in front of me to the left to right. So that's what I mentioned, the nimitta. Mm-hmm. But when I closely look at it, it is not exactly the breath, but it is like a sort of an image of the breath. Uh-huh. So is it I don't know, but some days when I proceed further, my mind become more tranquil, it's concentration. So does it you mean by light, or would it's some, I couldn't understand it. Is it where it's lead to concentration or not?
Yeah, it may be a sign which can have the potential to take you to deeper samadhi, but it is too early to mention. I mean, we don't know. It may be not a stable nimitta still. It may be very fragile one still. So don't worry about it. So just pay attention to the breathing. So as you are paying more attention to the breathing, as your concentration further develops, if it is the proper nimitta, it becomes stable. It is not something unstable. Rather, it becomes quite stable, very serene. And then later you can make use of it. At the moment, if it appear like blurred, it appear like, shaky, then no point of looking at it.
So it's better to go to the
just
breath and do
proceed
more
with the breathing.
Yeah.
And actually, rather than totally satisfied with the concentration side, you can little introduce the investigation also. But it can be counterproductive to the concentration. But you are promoting another faculty. That is the investigation. That is the wisdom part. Even though little discouragement to the samadhi, anyway, you are introducing some wisdom into the practice. No harm.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sanai.
Avsarai Bhante, that's all from this end.
Okay.
For now, Bhante.
Fine. So then we have spent a fair amount of time today discussing Achara Sanghata Sutta. And now I like to invite Venerable Dhammosada to conduct the sharing of merits.
Avsarai Bhante, listening and discussing the Dhamma, a meritorious deed it is. For the merits we have accrued today, we would like to extend them to our teachers, our parents, our relatives. May they all rejoice in our merits. May all deities rejoice in our merits. May all celestial beings protect the Dhamma and the Buddha Sasana for a long time. And may the seeds of Dhamma we have received grow into path, fruition, and Nibbana. I now invite everyone to join in the recitation of the traditional Pali verses for the sharing of merits.